Parks, schools, restaurants, and more, Assembly Row gets high scores. We're a thriving city with so much to do. On Boston Harbor, in our view, politics, cannabis, controversial stories, heroes, villains, who gets the glory? 50 plus languages in Somerville is spoken. Sanctuary city, there are no free tokens. History in Somerville stays alive. In All American City, we won 3 times. Somerville connects. Somerville connects.
Hello, I'm Rose Young, author of Roses, Wine, and Murder. Welcome to a mystery adventure with Roxanne and Georgie as they try to untangle the murder of wealthy wine connoisseur Mitch Stockman, owner of the Vino Verde wine bar. This murder has joined the wailing city streets of New London to the posh vineyards by Long Island Sound, where tons of history, gardens, fine wine, and food pairings delight. Yet in this case, death disturbs all tranquility. It's dangerous, puzzling, yet often comical, as these two friends attempt to find Mitch's killer. Roxanne, who is a sweet and sensible gardening expert, and Georgie, a flamboyant, fashion-forward wine aficionado, soon discover their lives actually depend on catching this killer. As the duo haphazardly weave their way deep into trouble, New London's handsome Detective Dan Morrison and Roxanne's husband, Fire Chief Sampson, diligently try to unravel the twisting, turning fiasco that Georgie and Roxanne are intensely embroiled.
Welcome to another edition of Dead Air Live, the longest live-running TV show in America and audio podcast, Somerville Connects. I am thrilled to invite here today my beautiful friend, BFF, Rose Young, author of Roses, Wine, and Murder. Welcome, Rose.
Thank you, JoJo. Nice to be here.
So, Rose, we just viewed the trailer that you and I put together. Took quite a few hours. Of Roses, Wine, and Murder. And we are going to be watching, after we talk for a little bit, a show that you put together with Jimmy Bennett, who works with young authors with their new up-and-coming books. And I have to tell everyone out here that you are an extraordinary writer. And I love that you pay attention to details, your research. Roses, Wine, and Murder is murder entertainment. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. So, Rose, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you have some exciting news to share with us.
Yes. Well, first of all, I grew up in the wilds of Maine, and I always wanted to be a mystery writer when I was young. And I went on to art school, New England School of Art and Design in Boston. And then I went into business for myself as a landscape designer for about 20 years. And one of my clients was Robert Parker, who's a very well-known mystery writer. And people know him through the Jesse Stone series and the Spencer for Hire series. Anyhow, he inspired me very much, and him and his wife, Joan, were friends of mine for over 10 years. In that inspiration, I finally put together Roses, Wine, and Murder, and it has just come out in audiobook format. So that's what we're here today to talk about, introducing it.
This sounds great. So why don't we just watch this fabulous interview that you did with Jimmy Bennett?
Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Books and Beyond. My name is Jimmy Bennett. I'm your host. Books and Beyond is the show where we try to help people personify their aspirations. I have a very special guest today, Rose Young.
Hi, Jim.
who is a fellow Kappa member of the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association, and a fantastic writer, a fellow mystery writer. So I'd like to just welcome Rose and say hi. And I'll tell you a little bit about her book. Her book is called Roses, Wine, and Murder in the City of Steeples. And on October 11th, Rose's book was top 3 on Amazon Cozy Mysteries and top 10 in suspense. You got a gazillion downloads, right? Thousands, right?
1,600 downloads in one day.
That's just incredible.
It was fabulous.
So, so actually, I'm probably talking. People out there probably actually know what I'm talking about. The story is based in southeastern Connecticut in New London. It goes from vineyards, beautiful vineyards, to all through the city of New London, right?
Yes.
Interesting, great characters. And actually, I want to read a little review right out of the book because I loved it. It said, this picturesque setting, coupled with a gripping plot, with wine dinners, poisonous plants, and a gritty investigation makes the story a memorial one. An exciting read, intelligently plotted and accomplished in a masterly finish. A must-read from one of today's best storytellers. So, and Rose, you're a local girl, right? You're from...
Yes, I live in New London County, and I just was enamored by New London because there was so much history, the beautiful architecture when you look for it, so many churches because of the sea captains who had been whaling here way back when and invested in their religious belief and funded the churches being built. And so that's why I have the tagline in the city of Steeples, which I'm coining for New London. And I just really thought that New London's beautiful oceanside scenery, and then it's connected not far away to the vineyard region of all around Long Island Sound, because that's where grapes grow best, near the water and the temperate climate. So, I've enjoyed including New London and the whole environs of Mystic and Groton, all the way to Long Island on the ferry.
Yeah, now you've taken the ferry over. Do you go to the North Fork, to the vineyards there?
Yes, I would take the ferry to the North Fork and take note of all the lighthouses along the way and the fishing areas. I include that in the story.
Oh, nice.
And then we go to some of the vineyards at the North Fork. There's Pominock Vineyards, Bedell Cellars, Wolfer Vineyards. They're all in the story when Georgie, one of my main characters, is having a wine dinner at the Vino Verde wine bar, which is all part of the story.
Oh.
And also, we go to a fictional vineyard where one of the vineyard owners is suspiciously not around anymore.
Okay. See, that's great the way you put that in, and that's the wonderful thing about writing fictional stories and stuff. I mean, my stories are all set in Hadlime or Chester and stuff, but obviously, some of the places I had to make up just because it, helps the story move along.
Right.
But that's all right. I mean, that's all part of the storytelling.
Exactly. When I was a landscape designer, I lived in Concord area of Massachusetts, and one of my clients was Robert Parker, and he's a famous novelist. It's
Spencer for Hire.
Now passed away, but he was one of my clients. Him and his wife were good friends of mine for like 10 years, but he had Boston as a locale, and then you can kind of work with the city streets and some of the historic places that but then fill in your characters.
Right.
Yeah. It's fun that way.
Yeah, it is. It is. I try to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
Just because, and I'm sure that's like the fun thing about you writing about New London. When you go to New London, you can actually be in these same spots.
Yes.
It gives you a closer connection to it.
Yeah, I've even had people ask me, can you give us a tour of where Georgie and Roxanne traveled through and some of the sites like Fort Trumbull or St. James Episcopal Church or, some of these locations. And I thought, gee, maybe one day when there's no COVID, I can get a little shuttle and we can go tour around.
Do
and
a little mystery tour. A little mystery tour in London. That would be a lot of fun. We're all struggling through this COVID. Obviously, and it's going to be a little harder. I know. It's funny. I miss, and we've done some events together, book signs and stuff, and that's one of my favorite things. I love to sit there. I love to talk to people. I love to talk about my book one-on-one with people, and
I know.
And it's really been tough.
I know.
Without and it just impacts. So like this Halloween, I'm not even sure, but we're getting really close to Halloween.
Yes.
Yes. And that's this is also a good time. Mysteries. Why do you think mysteries are so popular around
Well, I was thinking
Halloween?
about that because, I was wondering if my book had done so well because it's around this time of year and near Halloween and people are liking to decorate and, some places have gone far out with skeletons all over their lawns and spiders all over their house. But what is that about? Because those are actually scary, right? And so I was thinking, big kids and little kids like to dress up and look scary or be a little scared. They'll go to a haunted house or whatever. And I think that that's what our mysteries are popular is because they're having fun doing it. And so we may be writing about a crime scene and, following a murderer and creating a plot that puzzles people. Well, you're doing it from a comfy chair.
Right.
You're comfortable, and so you're in control and you're, trying to figure out the puzzle of who did it,
Right. Well, I think that's the beautiful thing about mysteries and books. Everybody loves a good story. We've all heard stories. You take them in. Sometimes you get a moral out of it or you get information out of it or just pure entertainment. And that's good. But a mystery... Not only, I think a mystery really engages you. It engages your mind. You don't, it's not like, you put the book down and think, well, I'll go back and find out what he does later. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you're reading a mystery and you put it down, you're like thinking, where's this going? What happened?
Yeah.
Did I miss something or is it something there? And that's what I've always loved about it.
Me too.
And, you especially too, and I'm a big fan of this, is I like mysteries that you can figure out.
Yes.
If you're
paying attention.
If you can if you can see everything and you can put the two and two together.
Yeah.
You can figure it out.
Yeah.
And I always admired that. I love like Robert B. Parker. I love Spencer for Hire. I read every one of his books, but they're pretty much he just pulls on a string and just keeps going and going and going. There's no real mystery to it. It's just you don't know what's going on until he writes it down in the book.
That's true.
And that's but when you with Agatha Christie and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, people like that, they put those in there.
Yes.
And I struggle very hard, and I know that you do too.
Yes, I do.
You struggle very hard to make sure that those breadcrumbs are laid out.
That's right.
And there's no gaps. It's fun that way.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Because I hit a clue in my prologue right in the beginning, but
Did you really?
And I bet you nobody knew that a small clue was left that made sense throughout the whole story until you got to the end. Then you went, oh, and that's what that was there for.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say this to people, and I was talking to another fellow writer about this, and I said I think the difference is television is wonderful. There are some very great stories and stuff like that, but they're way past the days of trying to engage you or make you think about what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nice to have we like to solve problems.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
That's the difference. A mystery book will make you think and make you use your little gray cells.
Yes. I watch a lot of documentaries because of that, and that's what I like to do because then I put facts into my story, and it becomes more interesting.
And I think people would be more than fascinated by the real history and the real facts that happen. I mean, how many times do people come up with these facts from history, and you go, "Oh, wow,
yeah, I didn't know that."
I'm the same way. It always made me engage.
Yeah.
You know, you think Halloween, I guess, really is a good time for a mystery book, though, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
You think about it. It's getting
like,
a little colder
get a little scared.
Yeah, you're right. It's time for a hot chocolate or a glass of wine and, sit down and just read yourself into peace, which is nice. It's good. One thing I've always admired about you, and I love, and I'm always fascinated by it, is even when you post on Facebook that you're here researching, you're here researching.
Yes.
And I mean, I tell you, I really admire that.
Thank you.
I try to do a lot of research, but mine's all through the internet and stuff. I mean, I go up to the castle once in a while, Gillette's Castle.
Oh, yes.
Where my books are set.
I know, I love it.
And I've gone around, I've took a million pictures, and I, look it over and us. But it's so nice being present day. It's there.
Yeah,
right
you're
there.
right. It is nice being present day.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's you can really talk to the people that are there right then and there and get their their thing. So tell me about that.
Well,
how's that?
I had fun going to a lot of the vineyards in the Connecticut region, like Mogul Sierra and Saltwater Farms and Jonathan Edwards and Chamard and Priam, just to get the ambiance, because you need to put that setting into to your story. You want to describe it properly. And then I asked a lot of questions. I was the one sitting down at the table asking the servers questions about wine, while my friends were having something to drink. and she's like, "You're writing this down?" It's like, "Yeah, I need to know." And so all the wine facts are true in the story. The wine and food pairings are true in the story. So I did a lot of research into the vintners, the vineyard owners, and what they suggested the wine and food pairing should be for a certain wine, because I don't know any of this.
Yeah.
And so that, is why I put that into the story, and Georgie presents it so well in his very flamboyant way. The other thing was that New London has a lot of city gardens that the New London Beautification Committee takes care of. And one of my friends worked for them, and I volunteered for a day. And actually, I hadn't decided on where my story was going to be until I had volunteered at Columbus Circle in New London. And when we were working on the garden, it just hit me, this is the perfect place for me to start my story. And New London and its streets, because the streets are very labyrinth-like. You can easily get lost in downtown if you don't know all the one-ways. But then you've got the Thames River and Ocean Beach and the beautiful waterways. You're watching the submarines go by. And so I put all of that into the story. It was fun to do it that way. And then I'll get on the ferry and go to Orient Point and, drive all around, climb the Groton Monument steps all the way to the top. And I added that in the story because I have a character who says he walked those stairs with his father when he was young. And it was when he looked out the windows out to the water and he saw the sailing ships. That's when he knew that he wanted to be a sailor. Yeah. And, and so it helps me get into the character.
Right.
So
right.
That's part of it.
Tell me now, what are some of the other, I'm trying to think, but you've also been a few museums, right? Art shops.
Yes. I went to the Coast Guard Museum and did a bunch of research there because I include a harrowing Coast Guard rescue in this story. and I wanted to know more, and I had to do a bit of research on them. And what happens if somebody falls in the water off a ferry in Long Island Sound? What happens? You know? And so I had to do the research on that and find out, that depending on where they are, New York may respond versus Connecticut.
I haven't really thought about that. Yeah.
So things like that.
I hope they stop and pick them up, but
Yeah, but local businesses I included, like Thames River Greenery Wine and Spirits. They have an amazing, who would know unless you travel in and you walk around, an amazing smoking lounge on the second floor, which is very moody and has a lot of character, old world character. They have the big old leather seating and so forth. It kind of seems like an bygone era men's club.
Yeah.
But of course, men and women are welcome. And when you walk into their shop, you can go into the back, and that's where they have their tastings with big candelabras. And then you can go upstairs and see the smoking lounge. And it's open for anybody to go to. You just walk on in and ask where it is.
This day and age, they still had smoking lounges.
One of my villains ends up in the smoking lounge.
All right.
And Fred, who is the owner of Fred and Charlotte own the Thames River Wine and Spirits. He is in the story too as a character that talks to the detective about the man that had smoked a Gurkha cigar.
Now, do you put have you put many local people in your?
I don't necessarily put the people. Everybody is fictional. I say, can I use your name? Do you mind?
Okay.
And I'll let you read what I'm putting in. And some I say, do you want a alias? That's if I'm kind of mentioning a shop owner, for instance. And it's a very small piece of the story.
I did the same thing. I used a lot of people's names, though I often explain to them that just because I use your name and you were the murderer is not how I think of you. But I found it was a lot easier for me when I named my characters after people I know, because then I had a face in my head, and a body type. You know what I mean? When I wrote, it was easier to, I don't know, for some reason, it's just easier if I have that visual in my head.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can, for instance, Muddy Waters is in my story, the coffee shop on Bank Street. And Georgie and Roxanne love going there and getting a coffee and an apple tart or a scone. And I think of Muddy Waters as a place where you can sit in a corner with a cup of coffee and you can just watch the people go by, and you can get good ideas for characters there too.
Now, do you like Roxanne? Are you Roxanne?
No, I am. Roxanne is a combination of two people, and partially me and partially my friend Anne. And so I put our names together.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And I've got a little bit of her and how I know her, and a little bit of me, and then I exaggerate every character,
right.
Because like Fire Chief Sampson, who's Roxanne's husband, he is a man I know, but also I think of my grandfather and my grandmother, and their relationship was like Roxanne and Sam's relationship in the story, sweet, a nice relationship. So, it's like that.
What about Georgie?
Georgie is actually based on quite a few friends that a conglomerate.
Okay.
I went to New England School of Art and Design, and almost every guy in my class was a flamboyant guy. And so as designers and in the artistic creative field, and they were very good friends of mine. And I loved their love of life. They just had a positive attitude and fun. And so I ended up putting Georgie from them. I took their type of characters and put them into Georgie. So, because I miss them. I don't see them anymore. And so I get to create a character who I enjoy. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, this is one because I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah.
Is you just came out with an audiobook?
Yeah, of this
Yep.
book. I just hired a company, Audio Sorceress, to do the audiobook. They sent me 5 auditions, which was very interesting because I said, I think I need a male to read the story. And so I said, but I'm going to ask what you think. And they read some of the book and they agreed. So then they sent me 5 auditions. For each one spoke for 5 minutes, reading a portion of the book that I asked so that I could see how they covered the different characters. So I gave them like 4 characters to cover, the main ones. I needed to hear how are they going to speak like them, and also narrate. And what occurred was out of 5, some were close with one character, some were close with another character, and I finally got to the last one, and he had every character down perfect.
Oh, good.
Especially Georgie, who is very difficult because I made him very flamboyant and exaggerated in this story, and if that wasn't right, it wouldn't be right. And so he did it perfectly. And he also did what was very important to me, Detective Morrison. Detective Morrison had to have the right voice. And some of them had come across like too old or old-fashioned even. And so he was perfect for this.
Great.
Yeah.
You know what? We have a clip. Frank, can you run that clip?
The mysterious agent slipped into the alleyway of the posh Harlow Towers condominiums. Compact gear clung to his muscular form as he scaled with purpose and dexterity the grated ironwork of the tower's parking garage. Its architects unwittingly provided perfect hand and footholds for him to reach the third-floor roof. From his backpack, the undercover operator took a rope and small grappling hook and adroitly launched it onto a railing on a balcony far above. With the ability of a mountaineer, he plied the rope, hand over fist, and ascended to the 8th-floor penthouse. Retrieving and packing his gear, he opened the unlocked balcony door. After searching the premises, he had nothing more to accomplish at the Vino Verde. Making his way down the stairs, he grabbed 2 bottles of French Cabernet Sauvignon before slipping into the night.
Wow, that is great.
Oh, thanks.
Wow,
they did a good job in presenting the story. Yeah.
Yep. And the narrator, who was the narrator?
Oh, the narrator is Eric Aldaidi, and he belongs to SAG, so he's a Screen Actors Guild professional.
Remember, yeah.
And he is the theater director at the University of Southern Indiana.
Oh,
so
wow.
this guy is so good.
Yeah.
And just portrayed my characters so well. The narration, he made them distinctive so that you could imagine them, and it enhances the story. You can, nowadays, especially with COVID, audiobooks are very, very popular because people are doing their chores, they're doing their errands, they're in the car, and they can listen to an audiobook. It's really hot,
That is wonderful. You're right. I tell you, that's one thing, because people have approached me, said, are you going to do an audiobook? Are you going to have, and I said, well, I don't know. But I am shocked about how many people I know who tell me the same thing.
Yeah.
That, you think about audiobooks, I always thought, well, you put it in the car, but you're only going to listen to 10 minutes on the way to work or 15 minutes here. How can you really get into it?
Yeah.
But then now I'm seeing people, like you see people walking around with earbuds.
Yep.
Chances are they're actually listening to a book, which is wonderful.
Rose, that interview was fabulous. Fabulous. I know our viewers and listeners, they're going to be tuning in. They're going to be checking you out. And folks, I got to tell you, Rose she's not just my BFF, but she is a sensational writer. You're going to be thrilled. And I know that there's going to be several more upcoming books, audiobooks in the future. Is that right, Rose?
Yes, I'm working on my second book now. It's called Love of Art and Murder, From Mystic to the City of Steeples, all based here in New England. And we'll be visiting the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston and the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum as well.
Well-
So I'm looking forward to that. And I love doing research. So that's the best part of putting a book together for a writer, is the research.
And you are a fabulous researcher. They don't come any better. You are the best. So, folks,
Thank you.
you know where you can find Rose Young. You have her contact information underneath us. And Rose, keep doing what you're doing because you are exquisite. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy that you're my friend. You've been my friend for a long time, and I know we're going to be friends forever. So thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, folks. Thanks again for listening to another edition of Dead Air Live and Somerville Connects. Bye for now.
Somerville connects. Somerville connects.